Okay, good morning, everybody. Going to get started. I'm hoping that we have some special guests who are going to be joining us this morning. Um, but we do have a couple of people who are here for the first time. Ratika, do you want to introduce yourself real quickly?
Absolutely, Steve. Thank you. My name is Ritika, and I'm a CEO of Entrepreneurial College and a vice president over workforce and healthcare program in Yuma County at Arizona Western College.
Yeah, they're doing some great work in workforce development. So we'll try and get Ratika on the agenda here in the next few months. And let's see, we have a couple of other people. Oh, and I think I just saw Rob. And Miles, you want to introduce yourself real quickly?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Miles Chandler. I'm the program manager for Empowering STEM Innovators work with the Career to Career Partnership, which is anchored at the United Way of Tucson in Southern Arizona. It's a bit of a
Great.
mouthful, but happy to be here.
Thank you. Um, Anybody else that's new to us today?
Hi,
Okay.
I'm new.
And I'm sorry, who was that?
I'm new. I'm Bailey. I work with Miles, and I am a data manager at the Cradle to Career Partnership.
Okay, great. Okay, did I see Robert Alvarado on the call there?
Hey
Robert, are you
Steve,
here?
how you doing?
Good
Yes, yes.
morning.
Morning.
Good morning. So is Lupe on too or not?
She should be joining us here in a little bit. She's probably getting her little one going. So she'll jump on as soon as she gets him all settled.
Okay. Well, we're going to get started because I know, Robert, you have a short window here today. And
Yeah.
so I want to get where to go. There we go. Okay. So again, I don't want to take too much other time. I'm really pleased. Well, actually, let me do this real quick. Beth, do you want to do a quick update on what's happening at ADE and E-rate?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Beth Neely. I'm the CIO here at the Department of Education. I've been with the Department of Education for 2.5 years. And as a lot of you, I'm sure everyone is aware by now, Mylan Eaton is no longer with the Department of Education. He led the E-rate and the broadband initiatives for the department. So I'm here just to give you guys a really quick update in what we are doing now. So some of you may be familiar with Karina Jones and Philip Singh. So Philip Singh, when he originally started with the Department of Ed, he worked very closely with Mylan on managing the projects. And Karina was involved with E-rate and broadband as Mylan used to report to Karina. So between the three of us, Philip Singh, Karina Jones, and myself, we're going to make sure that we are here for all of you, any of your needs, continue with the projects as they are currently going on. We had our first 3 project meetings on Tuesday. It was actually wonderful and exciting for me. I don't usually get that involved with those projects. So it was great to talk to those 3 LEAs. So we are also getting ready to post. We will be converting the position from a contractor to a full-time employee of the Department of Education. So that's exciting for us. And we should have that posted hopefully next week. So I'm going to try to make sure that I'm popping in here on Thursday mornings if you guys have got any questions for me. But know that the 3 of us are there. I can send in this chat our 3 emails if that would help, Steve, if you don't mind, so that
I
everybody.
did. I have already included them in my newsletter and will again this week. So
Okay, you're on top of it. Thank you so much, Steve. So we are here. We will be getting that position filled as an FTE and look for that to be posted next week and reach out should we be needed for anything.
sounds great. Thanks, Beth. Thanks for being here
You're
this morning
welcome.
and giving us an update. So
Thank you.
just okay. One other quick thing is I think you all know that we had planned to do a public networks forum on August 29th, and it's been postponed, and we will have to schedule a new date for that event. So moving on, I'm very pleased to welcome back. Wish they would be here all the time. but I'm pleased to welcome back Robert Alvarado, who's a longtime friend with us. Do I have your title correct? Vice President of Information Management and Technology Services,
Yeah,
Robert?
that's good enough, man. Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
do all kinds of other stuff, strategic planning, God knows what else. And Lupe, have you joined us yet?
Yes, Lupe just looks like Lupe just jumped up.
Good morning. And so want to introduce also Lupe. And do I have your title, Strategy and Tech Ops Director? Is that
Yes.
the correct title? So give me a second to stop sharing here. And I want to feature you guys. Spotlight. And let me find it. Well, let's go ahead and get started here, and I'll get Lupe spotlighted here also. But I'm really pleased that Robert, as you know, I love Chicanos por la Causa. I think you do amazing work. These guys, I mean, I think we settled on what, 6 or 7 states now that you guys are in, and you
Yes.
guys do everything from economic development to healthcare to housing to all kinds of stuff. And of course, you guys had a ACP grant before it faded into the sunset. And so Robert and I had a great conversation yesterday. I know he's got a short window because he's got to head off to another meeting soon. But we had a good conversation yesterday about the competitive grant and whether there's any opportunities for partnership, what they're planning to do. And so I know, Robert, that you don't know yet, but we just wanted to put it out there about what opportunities there are. So if you and Lupe want to give us kind of a quickie of what's happening with Chicanos, and then we can maybe continue on the discussion we had yesterday.
Yeah, sure, definitely. And I'll start out. And Lupe and I, we always kind of just tag team, so we kind of feed off each other here. So, but no, it's good to see everybody and old friends, Mala, Ilana, Aaron. Good to see you. Everybody on here. I wish we could attend this meeting, but Thursdays when we switched over was just a bad day because we have our leadership meetings and our team meetings and everything kind of happens for us Thursday morning. So unfortunately, we can't make it, and we used to even send like a rep from our team, but they're all part of our meeting, so we can't make it. But we hope to here in the future. But no, we appreciate you guys, and yes, so yes, as Steve said, we run many services, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with what we do. But we have that for-profit and nonprofit side here at CPLC, and in our nonprofit side. We do any type of social service you could think of. We pretty much do. We don't do it in all 6 of our states. We kind of do our services based on kind of what the need is. And also we like to partner with others. And so there's others that do great things in other areas. So we partner with them and they do those things. And then our for-profit feeds into our nonprofit, which kind of helps us keep going. We have a lot of apartments, multifamily.
So I'll be on mute in a second here.
We do like small business lending, those types of things. We have charter schools, early childhood development centers, workforce development. I mean, you name it, we pretty much do, just to give you kind of a background there. Lupe and I, we are in our IT department, and we run all the technology. From when we build a new site, we do all the planning, infrastructure, all of that, to basically developing systems and pushing a button and printing reports. And we have a networking team, we have an IT team, which does our help desk, an IS team, which we develop our own software applications and all of that. And then Lupe is leading our strategic planning. We handle strategic planning for all of CPLC. And then we have a research and evaluation department, which does all of our data metrics and tells that story for us. So jumping into the grant, like Steve was saying, we definitely are looking at it. And today that's the meetings that Lupe and I are jumping in here. After this, we're meeting with our execs and our different programs, and we're figuring out what we're going to do. So we're going to do something. We're definitely trying to figure out, what we're going to do, because, $12 million, it's going from 5 to 12. So even if we go for the 12 million, you're talking, it's 4 years, 3 million a year. And then we're in multi-states, and then, just all the things that happen, the devices and everything, it can get, added up quickly. So we're trying to figure out what makes the most business sense right now. And then which states we're going to run and do this. We mainly focus, like with ACP, we focus on our rural communities here in Arizona and those pockets where, the communities that we serve that aren't getting the services needed. We know there's others applying for this, and so we'll make sure we're not doing it in their pockets that they're doing. So we're staying away from that, but going into the areas where our communities are. We definitely are looking for people that we can partner with, especially in some of our rural communities. So as we figure this out, if anyone definitely is interested, and just reach out to us and we can see where we can make connections, because we're always looking for those connections. We have a 3-tier program. And Lupe, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the 3-tier program that we have in our digital inclusion, and this was we kind of replicated when we were in ACP. We just had it very like tailored to it. In our 3 model, we like to really focus on the device aspect, because even though you're connected, if you don't have a device, you can't really to do maybe your resume, apply for a job. So we have an aspect of making sure we provide them a device. Then the next part is getting them connected. It's really important, because if they don't have internet nowadays, you need internet. Without internet, you can't get connected. And so we have that connectivity aspect. And then the last part, the training, because you can give someone an internet, you can connect them to internet, give them a device. But if you have that constant training,
Excuse me, Lupe, I'm not sure who that is that's that we're getting some feedback here.
Oh, I see. I can mute that. I don't know. I don't think
I don't know if that's you or if that's somebody. I think there's somebody else's. Anyway, go ahead, Lupe.
Yeah, I don't think it was me, but it's okay. So the last part is the training. For us, it's really important, the training aspect. We like to provide the in-person support, because you can have a device, you can be connected, but if you don't have that training, then it can only go so far. And in the training, we make sure that we encompass, cybersecurity. We also like to make it fun and look at the basics. We add in nutrition. We add in online shopping. You would be surprised. We have a lot of seniors as well. And so one of our trainings had been focused to seniors, and you would be surprised how much they love online shopping. They first say no, but then when you get onto it, it goes crazy. So that's our 3-tier approach: that connectivity, the device, and the training. And the training doesn't stop that one time. It's constant training. And something that we like to do is we like to offer in various languages. We're mainly bilingual in English and Spanish, but we've had individuals that spoke other languages in our trainings, and we can make do. One time French, good thing I learned French in high school, so that came into handy. But if it is another language, we try to use our resources and try to work with even our partners in our company to see how we can support them. But that's our 3 model. We want to make sure that we really provide a holistic approach.
I think our biggest issue is with our training is the older adults wanting to get into the dating apps.
Oh yeah.
So is their challenge. Like, oh no.
So I wanted to kind of just, again, because they have a short window here, and Aaron, jump in and correct me if I'm mistaken here. But so part of the discussion was the competitive grants, and we've been talking about the competitive grants for a long time. And I got to tell you that as I've learned more, it's become interesting to me. And I guess I kind of knew this, but if you to apply for those competitive grants, and those are directly to the feds, it doesn't go through the state. It's a very onerous process to apply for those grants and manage those grants and matching funds and all those kinds of things. So for many small entities, it's almost impossible for anybody to be able, for anything other than larger entities, to be able to apply for those grants. But if I understand, again, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but people can, besides being partners or subcontractors, not being lead entities, but they can contract with an entity that doesn't have all of those reporting requirements. Am I correct about that? You can't hear you. Not on mute, but still not hearing you. Okay. Well, we'll move on. There's Denise. She probably knows.
I'm sorry I'm late. Yeah. I think you're talking about the competitive portion of the digital equity funding, which
Yes.
is the direct funding to different entities.
Yes.
It is not for a for-profit entity, although for-profits might be funded, as you were talking about, as a subrecipient. So that's the term you would become as a subrecipient. So the grant will be applied for with a lead that will be the applicant, and then what we're looking at is a series of like a coalition or a group that works together, and they all provide services. The match for this is 10%, at a minimum of 10%, which is better than a lot of the grants that we're seeing right now, which have been 25, and it can be in kind. But if you're looking at the range of grants is 5 to 12 million, that most of them are expected to be in that range. And a $10 million grant, a 10% would be $1 million.
Great. So, Denise, maybe I missed it because I get focused on trying to keep things going here. But
That's okay.
so, as a contractor, which is different than a partner or a lead entity, that the requirements are considerably different. If I'm correct, can you just clarify that a little bit, please?
Sure. The lead applicant will have to show that if you're a subrecipient, you're written into the grant and you're a part of it. And then as they hire contractors, that will all have to be probably competitively bid or sole sourced. You have to show that you're following procurement rules. So there's some stiff things that you have to follow to make sure the federal guidelines are followed. And there are lots of reporting. There's quarterly reports. And yesterday I just spent 4 hours in a desk review, which is reviewing all your processes and procedures. And are you keeping time cards? And so there's a lot of reporting with federal grants. You earn that money. You really do.
So thank you, Denise. So Ritika, you have a question or comment?
I have a question. I don't know whether you guys are applying as a group for the grant or not, or someone is taking a lead. But I saw that there is a range between 5 million to 12 million, which we can apply. And the range is not minimum or maximum required. You can go, but you have to justify. Is there any, and there's a due date for that is September 23rd. Are we thinking about going together, or are we looking into, like as Arizona Western College, as an education institution, we will be qualified, and I know multiple agency will be qualified, whether it's a, public subdivision, or whether it's a tribal community, or whether it's any workforce development program which they offer, so they will be qualified. So I don't know whether we are doing or not.
Well, so Ritika, and again, we have a short window before we lose Robert and Lupe. So I don't want to get in too much because we've talked a lot about that grant. But the main issue is what you were really asking at this point in time, particularly, at least in my opinion, for a lot of the smaller entities who are doing great work here in Arizona, but just don't have the capacity to be able to write those grants, manage them, and so forth. And so then it begs the question, who could be a lead entity and our subcontractor that has that capability, such as a community college, or in this case with Chicanos por la Causa. And can we do a joint application of some kind? So that's why we wanted to get this discussion today going, because Chicanos does have that capability if they decide to apply for those funds, and how they're going to do that and which states. And so they got a lot of questions. But if you're interested, Ritika, and I believe the state library is planning to apply. Aaron, do we know who else here in Arizona?
They are
County, Michelle Simon will be applying.
And Michelle, that's right. Yes, and Michelle. is planning to do that with Pima County. Anyway, I just wanted to bring them, since they were fortunate enough to be here this morning, that I wanted to bring Robert and Lupe into the discussion. And if you guys are interested in partnering with them, I'll put their contact information. But Robert, Lupe, do you want to add any more to my comments at this point?
No, just thank you so much. And I know one of the things touched was like data. Our organization is really good on data, any type of data. That's like one of our biggest things. And even when we did the ACP, we collected every information you can think of, from the application number to the demographics to just every interaction. And for us, that's really big. And, we're really unique because our IMTS has research and evaluation. We're big on dashboard and collecting data. And even prior to this, data has always been number one thing. And so CPLC has a good tracking systems.
Robert, do you have anything else that you want to add, or did I represent you correctly?
Yeah, definitely. No, we appreciate it, and we appreciate it. Appreciate talking with all of you and seeing you all again. And yeah, definitely let us know, because we're trying to figure it all out. Like I said, we have a meeting here at 8:30, and actually they're pinging me now. They want to meet beforehand too. But yeah, just let us know, and yeah, Steve, just put our contact information out there, and then we can definitely have discussions once we figure out where we want to go as a company, and then we'll go from there.
So again, for a lot of the smaller organizations, the partnering with folks like them is a more viable alternative than trying to apply on your own, because it's going to be a hugely competitive process, and it's a national competition, and again, the requirements for applying and so forth is just really very onerous. So anyway, Robert, Lupe, good to see you guys. Thank you for being here today, and we'll put your contact information, and if anybody wants to connect with you, they can do that.
All right. Thank you all.
Any quick questions for them before they run off? They got about 2 minutes to head off to their next meeting. I guess not.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care. You guys have a good day. All right.
Good to see you.
You too.
Bye now.
Bye.
And then, yeah, I know I got a couple pings. If you just send them in an email too, I try to grab all your guys' the emails that message me. But Steve, if you do put it on there, if y'all can send me an email with Rob, or I'll make sure that way I just don't lose it. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, well, I do send out the chat after our meetings and the video and all that stuff. So definitely we'll make sure you get that.
Thank you all. Have a good day. Happy almost
Great. Thanks, Lupe. Bye now. Okay. Moving on.
Steve, I'm sorry. This is Erin. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Erin.
Okay, I called in to avoid the tech issues. I just wanted to chime in really quick too. I'm not sure if it came through before my internet did whatever it did, but I did share the link that we created here at ACA to help people coordinate. There's quite a lot of contact information in that as well, if folks are interested in finding partners for the competitive grant. And then also just to circle back, on the conversation we had, as a reminder, this isn't, the only opportunity. So we'll have those sub-grants through our capacity grant as well. And those will definitely be a whole lot more, accessible for smaller organizations who maybe can't take on the reporting and the federal level, requirements as well. So happy to talk with anyone offline about that if you're not sure what I'm talking about. Thank you. Sorry to butt back in.
No, thanks, Erin. Appreciate that. So just to kind of close this discussion and move on, that the big challenge is, as I said, that we'd like to see a lot of organizations, get funding, but that grant is a very difficult grant for most people, and they really need lead agencies like what Michelle's doing in Pima County, and what hopefully Chiganos Para Causa may do, and so forth. So anyway, if anybody has any other questions or comments, if not, we'll move on the agenda. And if not, I want to just jump into our presentation today. with Paul Murillo. And Paul was here previously, and we cut him short because we kind of added him at the last minute to the agenda. And so we had a fairly lengthy presentation that day and had to cut him short. So they're doing some great stuff. I know many of you are interested in serving seniors. And so I thought it would be really helpful to bring Paul back to share information with us. So Paul, I'm going to just turn it over to you. If you need to share again, be glad to let you do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Murillo. I work for Get Set Up. We are a virtual learning platform built exclusively for older adults. We started the company about 4 or 5 years ago. And when we started the company, we were trying to help older adults essentially stay.
Excuse me, Paul, I'm sorry. Before we move on, I really apologize.
Yeah.
So Kelly and Aaron, do you guys have any quick updates that you need to share with people? Kelly, Kersey?
No,
Kersey?
thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if Erin stepped away for a moment, so I'll speak until she gets back. But she might have already shared. She's got the database that she plugged the link into. I can see a number of people are in that, which is great. That's just trying to keep a higher level view, bird's eye view, as far as what people across the state are interested in doing and what projects they're working on. So everyone has an idea as far as that capacity grant. On the BEAD side of things, we are still formulating our timeline and putting that together. The clock started ticking as of August 1st. That was when it was officially approved, BEAD Volume 2. It was announced on August 5th, but it was approved on August 1st. So August 1st, 2025 is when we have to have our final proposal done. So we have a lot to do within this year. And Sandeep's so far, his first commitment is having the project areas by early to mid-September. So that will be coming out. And we also have a newsletter coming out next week with some updates as well. And I also want to add, as far as the community engagement front, today we will be in Clarkdale. And it's on our website. I'll plug that link into the chat as soon as I'm done. So we'll be in Clarkdale in Yavapai County. And then next month, we are working on Mojave County and La Paz, and then I will be reaching out to folks in Pima and Pinal to get those set up as well. So lots of visits happening, but mostly Sandeep and his team are really hunkering down and working to get all of this in order and out so everybody understands the timeline, when the application window opens, the pre-qualification process. There's a lot that's going to be coming, and we're really trying to just streamline that and make it as smooth as possible.
Great.
So those are updates from us.
Great. Thanks, Kelly. And of
one
course you
thing,
do.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Who's that? Is that Aaron?
This is Erin again. I'm sorry. I apologize. I know I'm not on there as a name. But I just wanted to clarify one thing. The link that I dropped in the chat before my internet decided to kick me out is actually for the competitive grant. So that is a coordination document for folks who are interested in applying directly to NTIA for funding. So those are those larger grants that Lupe and Robert were discussing from CPLC's perspective. We are kind of I don't want to say hitting pause, but there's no real updates on the capacity grant subgrants at this point, because we're still working on our application for that and getting that money allocated to Arizona. So there will be more information about the subgrants within the state coming later this fall, but the competitive grant is what's open right now for folks to apply directly to NTIA. And that application window closes on the 23rd of September. So there's a bit more urgency with that one right now. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Kelly, for everything else.
Okay.
One last thing, I know you're in a rush. We did post on our
questions for
website.
Kelly or Aaron?
Posted a summary of changes also to BEAD Volume 2. So the as we have been, before getting this approved, there were several changes done to it. So we summarized that and posted that on the website. I'll put the link in the chat.
Okay,
and I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Aaron, anything else? Okay, if
No,
not,
that's
Paul,
it for me. Thank you.
Okay, so Paul, let's get back to you. I apologize for interrupting you.
Yeah, no problem. So as I mentioned, my name's Paul. I work for Get Set Up. and we are a virtual learning platform, and we are exclusively built for older adults. We started the company probably 4.5 years ago, and when we did, we were, looking at stats that y'all are privy to. Basically, our older adult population is going to double in the next 40 years, and in 20 years, it's going to be up by 20%. And so we were looking at ways to just help older adults stay in the workforce. But then the pandemic came along and it really changed everything for us because we actually got a really deep view into the needs of older adults. We had a lot of older adults coming to our platform, and a lot of them didn't have the digital skills they needed to even take a virtual class. So we essentially rebuilt our platform from the ground up, and built our platform into 5 major categories, which I'll go into in just a moment. But before we do that, let me tell you why Get Set Up is special. First and foremost, it's only built for older adults. So if you're not an older adult, there's really no reason to be there. Secondly, all of our courses are interactive, which means you can ask questions. Third, it really is an older adult platform. About 3 years ago, we had some folks in their 30s and 40s that were teaching at Get Set Up. And as we looked at the user feedback, we realized that when somebody who was their peer, meaning an older adult, was teaching the class, the feedback rating was 25 to 30% higher than if somebody younger was teaching the class. So we made a decision 2.5 years ago that only older adults are teaching older adults at Get Set Up. And we really seem to have kind of found that happy place, and created this great little learning community. And all of our instructors are retired teachers, professionals, technologists, industry experts, people, and we pay them to teach, and they've all gone through extensive background checks and gone through training. And so what we did, let's go back to the curriculum. What we did is we rebuilt our curriculum into 5 major categories. The first one is digital literacy, because let's face it, if we can't get them to be able to learn their digital device, they really can't take any other classes. They can't do telehealth. They can't do critical services such as online prescription ordering. So we really heavy up on this digital divide piece, digital literacy piece. After that, we've got classes in physical health and nutrition and mental health, social classes, as well as workforce development. So let me just talk to you a little bit about our platform. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen with you. See if I can do this. I don't know that I can. Oh, there we go. So in terms of digital literacy, we essentially have 3 classes that we help older adults tiptoe into learning technology. And the first one is our orientation class. Now, what this is it's just a nice big welcoming hug in a rah-rah session to help them get excited about all the different classes that are available to them at Get Set Up. And then the second class we ask them to take is Introduction to Zoom, for various reasons. We're using Zoom now. Zoom is transferable to things like Microsoft Teams and Google Meets. And at the end of that class, they should be able to go to zoom.com, sign up for a free account, send out an invite, see their friends and family. The third class we ask them to take is an introduction to whatever device they're using. So if they have an iPhone, Android, tablet, Windows, Mac, it does not matter, Chromebook, we have an intro class for that. Now, what we're trying to do is create digital confidence through curiosity. And I think I've told a couple of you this story before, but when my dad was aging in place, I bought him a computer. And my dad was an 80-year-old factory worker. So when I showed up with a computer, the first thing he said was, "What'd you do that for? You wasted your money." And I said, "Look, Dad," and I made some modifications. I said, "Push this button, news, push this button, stock, push this button, call anybody you want in the United States for free." That was the thing that got him. He puts on the headset, calls his brother, says, "I'm calling you from the computer." His brother says, "So what?" He says, "It's not costing me anything." That was the inflection point that my dad needed to realize that that device had more value to them than he originally thought. And when I came back a few days later to organize his pills, He had found YouTube and was fixing the Hunter Bay fan switch in his bedroom. So when I talk about Get Set Up and I talk about how we think about training older adults on technology, I think about that because we're trying to create digital confidence through curiosity. And once they get through those first 3 classes, it's a whole new world because we have wonderful physical health classes, Tai Chi, Qigong, line dancing, great classes on healthy eating and nutrition. We crowdsource some of our classes so they tell us what they want to learn. We just created a new series on health called Learning About the Blue Zones. And I don't know if many of you heard about that, but it's 5 places around the world where older adults live to 110 times longer than other people. So we really heavy up on these types of classes. We also have classes on Alzheimer's, dementia, ageless grace, negative thinking. So lots of mental health and stress classes. We even have classes for people with mobility issues. So we have chair yoga, stuff like that. We have, I think, 45 classes in Spanish. We have probably 80 classes in Hindi. And we also have, I believe, 30 classes in Chinese. Then the social health fun classes start to happen. And when I say social health classes, these are more like topical interest groups or roundtables where older adults can get together and talk about the things that are interesting to them. Gardening, coffee talk, kitchen tech, book club, doesn't matter. And because we believe it got set up that if you're over 50 years old, there's something in your head that's of value to somebody else, and you should share the information. As a matter of fact, all of us that get set up get super involved in our classes. I even teach a social health class. I'm not ashamed to say it. I run the Golden Bachelor recap session for our older adult community. So, we just get in there. We have a lot of fun with our social health classes. After that, we still have our workforce development classes. As a matter of fact, we're being used by folks like Easter Seals, NICOA, A4TD as a CSEP primer. What they're finding is that a lot of the older adults that are trying to get back to work don't have the digital skill set that's needed in the modern workforce. So what we work as is a primer for them. So they send their older adults to us and we help them get up to snuff on today's digital skills. Because let's face it, if you go work at a restaurant, you're using some semblance of a web-based device. If you're going to work at IBM, you're using some semblance of a web-based device. And it's just really important to help them get there. So, and then, every quarter we bring in a special guest speaker that's of interest to older adults. We kicked off the series with some of you may know. He's a travel video guy. His name's Rick Steve, super nice guy. If you like him, you'll like him even more. And he talked about where he would go if he had mobility issues, where he would travel to and his recommendations. After that, this gentleman down here, Pete Souza, former White House press photographer for President Reagan and President Obama, and shared his experiences. And then we had this gentleman right here, John Starks, who is an NBA basketball player. He runs the John Starks Foundation, which caters to older adults during the aging process and exercise. And he was making recommendations on how older adults should exercise as they age. So we really, really focus heavily on older adult education. And really kind of, if there's anything I want people to remember about Get Set Up is we help older adults learn their device, we help them get healthy, and we help them get social. And there's other things I wanted to show you. Let's see. Did it look like my screen just changed, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Get Set Up. This is what it looks like when we build partnerships with AAAs, states. We currently are partnered with 8 or 9 states statewide. So if you are in the state of Wyoming, Washington, New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Nebraska, you can take Get Set Up classes, as many Get Set Up classes as you want. And this is the one that's built for Wyoming. So we try to make this as clean and clear as possible. So featured classes, trending, fitness, cooking, technology, travel. There's a lot of things going on here. I mean, we even have these series, and like I mentioned, there's that Blue Zone series that we talked about, that kind of talks about, you know, what they are. Ischia, Greece, Loma Linda, California. And so we have all these wonderful series that they can participate in. And, you know, once they get started, it gets set up and they take a class or two, they generally go to our calendar right here because they want to know what's happening today. And right now, we have one, two, three, we have a lot of classes that you could just jump into right now. Strength training, fitness, travel, cooking, financial wellness, security. And this goes starts at about 7 a.m. in the morning and goes all the way to about 7 p.m. at night. And there's a couple other things that I wanted to show you. We're a very small company, but for some reason we have a lot of users. We have over 2 million users on Get Set Up in the United States. And we were invited to the White House for a scams and frauds conference. And the output of that was the federal government wanted us to create classes specifically on scams and frauds. So we now have an extensive scams and frauds hub of all these different types of classes like AI crimes, phishing, stuff like online safety, privacy, financial wellness.
Yeah.
Scam alerts. And so we really heavy up on, you know, helping older adults learn their device and then being safe. Now, if they're looking to get back into the workforce and they want to, you know, hone up their skills, we have this CSET program, which helps. We have a 9-step program that helps older adults get workforce ready. So in these sections, we always start with our orientation. And now after the orientation, we go, hey, you know, just like at our digital literacy piece, go take some Zoom classes. Once they have their Zoom class down, they can choose their device. Whoops, what's going on here? Let me refresh this page. I think I might have. There we go. Go take some Zoom classes. After the Zoom class, here are all those classes I talked to you about choosing your device and learning your device. And for some reason, this is not working for me. There we go. After that, after you choose your device, you can choose your platform, because if you're going back to work, there are 2 major platforms out there. The first one is Microsoft 360, and that's generally owned by the corporate world, and the small to medium-sized businesses are all kind of Google Meet, Google Suites, and we have all those courses as well. Then we have intermediate devices, classes on their devices. So if you want to go back and learn more, as well as in-depth computer knowledge, how the internet works, Dropbox storage, stuff like that, home networking. So we really kind of get deep and heavy. We even have general business classes for people that want to take business classes. And then because every business that is out there that you would work for uses social media to some extent, just a basic understanding of social media. And then after that, we give them classes to help them find a job, such as successful interviewing, how to use LinkedIn, and how to find volunteer jobs. So that's what Get Set Up is. The other last few things that I wanted to show you was we recently launched a new platform called Get Set Up Anywhere. And what that allows us to do is embed on-demand classes on your website. And so this is Lewis County in New York. And as you can see, we've embedded Get Set Up classes on their website. So if you say our need is digital literacy, we have a digital literacy embed. If you say our priorities are, you know, workforce development, we can embed workforce development classes. If you have, you know, fitness, we can embed fitness classes on your website. So that's something new as well. The last thing I wanted to let you know is we also take on lots of projects. So if you have, you know, thoughts or ideas or ways that you need to engage your older adults, please feel free to reach out to me. Just one quick example. The state of California reached out to us and they said, hey, we are giving out 16,000 iPads to our underserved older adult community. And we were excited about that because we wanted to be their class platform. And I said, great, we'd love to be your class platform. They said, there's a bigger problem here. We believe that if we give out 16,000 iPads to our older adult community, we believe that a portion of those will just become really excellent Christmas gifts for grandkids. So what they asked us to do was call all 16,000 of these people individually, interview them, ask them, do you know how to use this? Do you know how to plug it in? Do you know how to, search the internet? Create notes on the response. And if they do not know how to use it, give them a one-on-one tutorial on how to get it started, plug it in, unbox it, find the internet, search Google, and then register for them for our iPad Basics class. So we really can do lots of different things, and that's what Get Set Up is. And I will leave it there and see if anybody has any questions.
So, Paul, a couple of things. Can you now stop sharing?
Yes, sir.
And secondly, so where are you based again, Paul?
We are totally virtual. So when we right before the pandemic, we were looking for a corporate headquarters, and then we realized, we seem to be doing this okay, and we just are a completely virtual company. We have technical headquarters in Utah, but we have small little regional offices around the United States.
But when we talked, you were really looking for relationships and partnerships here in Arizona.
Yes, exactly. So if anyone's looking to provide virtual classes for their older adult community, we would love to talk to you.
Any questions for Paul?
Paul, is there a fee for these classes, or is it a membership, or what is?
Great question. So when we work with organizations, what we do is historically, we still have two ways that we work with them. We've been funded by state departments of health and libraries. And what they have done in the past is we have created hey, it's like going to the movies. You want a ticket to a movie, you can buy a ticket to a class, and you basically let them take the classes. What we're doing now is we are doing population-based pricing. So we basically look at the population of your community, and we make an estimate, and we just go, all you can eat, here you go, no limit on classes. So we're now looking into doing that, and we are rolling out that as a means of pricing.
Other questions for Paul?
But if you live in a state that doesn't have your program already, isn't there a consumer option to purchase?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. So what we do is we also have a consumer price, and I think it's like $20 a month, and that's all you can eat for an individual subscription.
Any other questions for Paul? Okay, thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Time to give you a little time this time.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much.
You bet. Okay, Mama, do you have any updates?
No, not really, Steve.
Okay. Anybody else have any updates that they want to share? Any other announcements? Gallery.
Announcements, I can tell you that there is one. I'm not sure whether you included it in your list. I'm trying to look through it as I'm talking to you, but Shelby has a webinar on August 28th between 1 and 2 EST on hotspot lending. That's been a hot topic, and there have been lots of questions. There were 500 plus people who attended Shelby's first webinar on hotspots as soon as the FCC's rules came out. And this is a follow-up to that because there were so many questions they couldn't get to it. So August 28th, 1 to 2, and I'll put the link in the chat for those who would like to register. It's worth registering if you are a school or library that is planning to do hotspot lending through the E-rate program.
Yeah, and that session is going to be a Q&A session. So they
Yes.
did the hotspot session first, over 400 attendees, and then this next one is just going to be a question and answer session. So it should be very interesting.
Okay, anybody else have anything else they want to share this morning?
Steve, it's Kelly Mukherjee from ASC.
Yeah, Kelly.
Hi, everyone. A quick update from the AS1 web portal. We are starting a storytelling initiative. So if you have anyone that would like to share their community impact stories, especially in rural areas or more unserved, underserved areas, maybe where they've been impacted by your wonderful work, we would love to start collecting those stories and helping to tell those stories and sharing them out on AS1. So if you do have any stories, please feel free to reach out to me and we can work together on getting your story told. Thanks, Steve.
Okay, great. Yep. And Jared, I see you're online, and I believe we're going to hear from you next week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's the plan, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Sounds good. So,
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Hey,
Go ahead.
yeah. I was on the phone with Lucy earlier this week, Lucy Howell,
Yeah.
and she shared with me a T-Mobile plan that's going on. I see she put it in the chat. And Lucy, I'd like for you to share that with everyone so that you can kind of refresh everyone's memory on that. That's a great program. And I learned that none of the schools in Arizona applied for it, which was disturbing. So I think we need to get it out in the open, talk about it, and encourage our Arizona schools to get online. So I'd like to hear from Lucy.
Is that the $10 million program you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, and certainly glad to hear from Lucy. We did have folks from T-Mobile attend a couple weeks ago and did an overview of that program. But Lucy, you have your hand up. You have other things also that you might want to share.
No, that was like the most important thing that I just kind of wanted to get out there. And yeah, it's been so great to meet people to see how we can partner. And so I am partnering with Damon because when I saw this, and I don't know if anybody grabbed that link, because Rob Gronkowski is, our Arizona Wildcat guy, is the national spokesperson. And he's got a great 1-minute promo video. And he's basically challenging, he's coupled up with T-Mobile, and they're giving away a whole bunch of money. And starting a football season in week 1, they will be selecting 50 high schools across the country, and each high school will get a $5,000 grant for whatever it is that their football team feels like they need. It is a football play here, but you know what? It's money's coming in to improve the stadium or get a new scoreboard or to possibly do a spot check on connectivity. And when I went through the pages and pages and pages of the high schools that have already applied, I was just looking for one. I was just looking for one Arizona high school. And the thing is that they are focusing on high schools with 150,000 people or less. So this is a rural high school play. So I was like, Mylan, come on. And so I got Damon, and he hadn't really activated yet either. So between Damon, who is from T-Mobile, he is our education outreach guy, right, for Southern Arizona, and Mylan, we want to see some Arizona teams get some T-Mobile funding.
So I didn't know about that other program, Lucy. So thank you for sharing that. And
yeah, there'll be 10 weeks of 50 high schools per week getting $5,000 each. And then there will be 10 finalists, I think, of $25,000, and one finalist that's going to get like the full school makeover, which is pretty cool. So we'd love to see an Arizona team get that.
Okay. So I'd like to get more information about that, Lucy, so we can share that.
Yep, put it in the, I put it in the link.
Sounds good. And before I forget, I always try to remind people that, as you know, after the meeting, I do send out the chat and video and all that stuff. But since there's a lot of stuff in the chat, that you can also download the chat yourself to your computer, so you'll have it immediately. So if you go to the chat and at the top, there's 3 ellipses, three dots, and you can click on that and you can download the chat. I know there's lots of stuff shared in the chat, and it's hard to capture that And so want to make sure you know that's available. And again, I do share the chat when I get the summaries of the meeting out. So is there anything else anybody wants to share? John Haas, I owe you some communication. So I'll be back in touch with you soon.
Okay, thanks. I'll be here. We're having an AI workshop next couple of days, so I'll be out of pocket.
Okay. So I'm going to stop the recording.